The role of the Calcasieu Parish Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness during hurricane season is primarily twofold. First, obviously, is public education like we're doing today, going over the different things that you need to prepare for hurricane season. Secondary role for us is that we are the primary coordinating agency for any response and recovery that we might do in response to a disaster.
Actions that are going to be taken are going to be dependent upon a number of things. The type of structure that a resident lives in, where in the parish they're located, if they're along an area that's susceptible to flooding because of rain from the storm or some storm surge on even the lower category storms, we would recommend evacuation potentially for people who live along the rivers, waterways, low-lying areas that have a tendency to flood. Also, there could be possibly some recommendations for evacuation for people who live in mobile homes, still some of the FEMA trailers that we have in the parish, people who feel that maybe their home would not be strong enough to sustain even maybe a tropical storm or a Category 1 hurricane. So there's going to be some recommendations for those people. People that live further north in the parish, less likely to be susceptible to potentially some of the flooding issues, and also wind is also going to decrease as further a storm comes in, so people in the northern part of the parish may get different recommendations than people in the southern part of the parish.
This year we're trying to stress personal responsibility. We know from past events that if you can take care of yourself and then your family and then your friends, that it makes our job a lot easier as public officials when we have a disaster. Make sure that you and your family and your friends all have a personal preparedness plan. Make sure you know how much medication you need. Make sure that you have a little bit of money set aside maybe. Contact numbers, both locally and out of town. If you decide to go somewhere else, do people know where you're going? When are you going to be back? How to contact you while you're out of town.
We suggest, if you can afford it, look at a 90-day supply of all of your medications. So it can be more difficult if you have to leave the area in order to get a prescription refilled, especially if you only have a couple of days remaining on your current supply. That's one of the bigger things that we have found when we had people here from out of the area sheltering in the past. But other things that you should have, besides the things already listed, is any infant supplies that you may need, any special medical supplies that you may need for yourself or a spouse or some other family member. Because you're really looking at two different aspects, whether you're going to be staying here because maybe it's a low category storm and you don't evacuate, versus if it's a higher category storm and you're going to evacuate. There's some slight differences in your kit.
There's a couple of good places to find information for this planning that I'm talking about. One would be FEMA.gov or Ready.gov. The other would be redcross.org. All three of those sites would have good basic planning information that would help you write your own family plan. One of the things we've been urging people to do this year in particular is we've made arrangements through the IS department with Calcasieu Parish to do some live streaming of our meetings. So there will be hopefully some increased information available to people when they're out of town this time. If they can make their way to a site that has internet access, they'll be able to view some of this stuff, pretty current information. One of the places that we suggest people seek for this is public libraries. Most public libraries nowadays have internet access of some sort, and it's a great resource. Most larger towns have a library with internet access, so we're urging people not to forget about that as a resource. Two types of sheltering that we need to talk about. One would be local sheltering for an event like a tropical storm or something like that. A place where we could ensure that we have a good building locally in the category winds would be able to be withstood at that shelter. For higher categories, and we don't really know what those will be right now, all of the sheltering will be outside of Southwest Louisiana. There will be no shelters under the current state plan in our area. In order for people to be prepared for that, they need a transportation plan, and that is either transporting yourself to these shelters in the northern part of the state, or if you need assistance on transportation, which one of the other speakers will talk about later, we'll need to know in advance who those people are and what type of assistance they need in getting out of our area.
E911, our communications district, has developed what they call the 911 SNAP program. And this is an application that you can get by calling them at 439-0811. And it allows those people that have special needs, it's a special needs assistance program, that's what SNAP stands for, to be registered with the 911 office to aid emergency responders should there be an event that they need to notify you about. For example, if a hurricane is approaching us, we would like you to have the opportunity to evacuate 24 or more hours in advance of the general population so that you aren't stuck on the road in heavy traffic and be more uncomfortable than a normal person would be. You might get a phone call from the 911 office or a recorded message giving you advance notification that there will be an evacuation in a day or two, allowing you to be better prepared and take advance action. This is not for them to come get you or move you. You have to have your own means of evacuation scheduled, but we're allowing you to have the advance notice. On a day-to-day basis, if there's an event in your neighborhood next door to you at your place, this would allow the 911 operator to notify the emergency responders that there may be somebody inside that needs help and that may not be able to evacuate their own home by themselves. So that's the original reason for the SNAP program. But we're going to use it also to give advance notice for hurricane evacuations.
Due to the predictions that it is going to be a busy season, it's really not too early now to be thinking about what your plans are going to be for this hurricane season.